The Lantern of the Forgotten Shore. Long ago, in a fishing village that clung to the edge of a restless sea, there stood a tall, weather-worn lighthouse. It hadn't guided ships in decades. Its beacon had gone dark after a storm shattered the great glass lens. The villagers had since learned to steer their boats by the stars, leaving the lighthouse to stand like a forgotten sentinel. But one night, a boy named Aaron, curious and restless, wandered to the cliffs. He had always been drawn to the silence of the old tower, its stones whispering stories to anyone willing to listen. As he reached the door, he found it unlocked, though he was sure he had seen it bolted before. Inside, the air smelled of salt and dust. Cobwebs hung like veils. But at the center of the room, on a pedestal, rested something new, a small brass lantern, glowing faintly as though it held a flame made of moonlight. Aaron touched it, and the lantern flared, casting beams that stretched far beyond the walls. Suddenly, he was no longer inside the lighthouse. The world shifted, and he stood on a shore he had never seen before. The sand shimmered like silver dust, and the sea glowed as though filled with stars. Strange figures walked along the tide, sailors, dressed in clothes from different centuries, their faces both tired and hopeful. One of them approached him. She was tall, her hair bound with shells, and her voice carried the hush of waves. "The lantern shows the forgotten shore," she said. "Here walk the lost sailors, those who never returned to their homes. With the lantern, you may guide them back." Aaron looked at the glowing sea. The figures turned their faces toward him, their eyes like distant lights begging for direction. Trembling, he raised the lantern high. Its glow cut across the dark water, forming a path of light stretching toward the horizon. One by one, the sailors followed, stepping onto the shining trail until they vanished into the dawn. When the last sailor had gone, the lantern dimmed, and Aaron found himself back in the lighthouse, the sea outside calm and familiar. But the lantern remained in his hands, warm and waiting. From that night on, the villagers sometimes saw a beam of light sweeping across the waves, not from the broken lighthouse, but from the boy who had become its keeper. They never knew where he went when the glow appeared, only that ships lost in storms found their way home again, and some whispered that the sea would never truly claim anyone. As long as the lantern of the forgotten shore burned in Aaron's hands,